Hi, Changemakers, and welcome back to another live training here in the Inspiring Professionals community where I help you build an exciting and meaningful career for a sustainable, thriving world. Now, these live trainings, they will help you figure out exactly how to get that career that you really want to wake up to in the mornings. So today we are going to talk about energy because we all want to come home from our workday with a good deal of more energy than we need to talk to friends and be with family and do exciting things. But most people know that that's not always the case. So I want to talk to you about the top 5 reasons that I see for why you may be exhausted after some of the things that you've been doing in the workday, and also what you can do about it. For those of you who are new, I'm Mads Damgaard. I'm a professional career coach and I'm the founder of the Inspiring Professionals community. And I've been engaged with personal and professional development for over 20 years now. And in this community, I'm gathering together 10,000 inspired, passionate, excited people from all walks of life to help them align their professional life with their personal beliefs. And today, I want to start out by talking about why the regular advice on keeping your energy that you often hear mostly just doesn't work, and show you how the real deeper causes for exhaustion requires a different approach altogether. And finally, I'll share some thoughts about how you can transition out of that exhaustion pattern and start safeguarding your own energy. So if this is interesting, then stick around and I will do my best to help you get that solved. If you think this topic is important, then please show your support for the community by putting a like or a comment on it. It really helps bring out this message to more people in the group so that they might also get something out of it. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's imagine that you're sitting in your car or the train on your way home from a long day at work and you just feel exhausted. You're so happy for the day to be over and that there is a full 15 hours for you to recover some energy before you have to go back there. Maybe you remember that get more energy checklist that you read online last night at 11:45 when you really should have been in bed already an hour ago, right? And you feel guilty because you can't swing yourself up to going to the gym like it told you to. And you know that right now you should be planning the nice salad with tons of antioxidants that you're going to get when you go home, but it's much more likely that you're just going to stock up on some high carb takeout and collapse on the couch. I know because I've been there. All right. I am no better than anybody else on this. Um, so yeah, sure, there are some days that are more hectic than others, and but being exhausted and depleted after work too often is a very real sign from your body that something is not working. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but if you feel like this and you don't get things sorted out, it can get ugly. Obesity, high blood pressure, long-term stress and burnout, and frayed and failing relationships. These are real things that happen to real people because of this. And I bet you're thinking to yourself, I know this sucks, but how am I ever going to get the discipline to follow through on all this good advice that I already know so that I can live this happy and energized life that we all want? Yeah, I mean, we know we should all sleep more than we do. Should exercise more than we do. We should eat more healthy, be in nature, take hot baths, and all of the other things that they're right about. But somehow it just doesn't work. We don't get around to it. And here's where I've got some good news for you, that it's not your fault. All of those things, exercise, diet, sleep, they're all great, but they just don't work because they don't solve the main issue that's destroying your energy, right? And when you're trying to implement them while reeling from a workday that sapped everything you've got, the odds of you doing them with the consistency required is very low. And it's very difficult to do over long periods of time, even for the most disciplined of people. So don't even worry about it, you know? So let's talk about some of the real reasons your energy is draining away from you. The first and probably least surprising reason that people get exhausted and mentally burned out is doing high concentration work for hours on end. Think spreadsheets or emails, and our brains are just not really built for this. We can do it for sure, but the human brain is, not set up for this. It can do it, but it's because it's a versatile instrument, but it's not where most people naturally thrive. And now I'm not knocking people that thrive on this kind of work, but continuous focus requires more and more energy expenditure the longer it goes. And in the end, it's going to burn through everything you got, no matter how strong a psyche you have. Just imagine a CPU that's running hot and that doesn't get to cool down at all during the whole day. By the end, it's ready to melt down. Maybe this sounds familiar. The only way to really deal with this is to make sure that you give your mind regular breaks and actual breaks where your mind isn't just still working in the background while you're pretending to go to the bathroom. Okay? This is something that I teach on my workshops on managing your mind. So reach out to me in the comments if you want to have a great tip on how to do that most effectively. So the second reason is that there's too many things going on. Imagine being engrossed in a difficult email and your colleague Ted taps you on the shoulder and asks you for your input on a new proposal that he's made. Now, everything in your head about this email situation goes out the window and you have to load all of the information about Ted's proposal instead, right? And then after you give your input, Ted says, you're a trooper. And you get back to your email and you have that feeling, where the hell was I? And studies show that it can take as much as 30 minutes or more to get back to the same state that you were in before you got disrupted. And when you constantly have to jump from one set of issues to another, this is extremely costly for your brain in terms of energy, right? Again, we can use a computer analogy. If you think about what happens to a computer when you switch from your word processing to your email system and back again. If you have one of the older computers, you can probably hear that it is working a lot harder than it normally is to load all the right bits in and out of RAM. It will say that like the newer computers, they've worked to solve all the sound issues, so you can't hear it, but it's still the same thing that's happening behind the scenes. Now, this multitasking gets disproportionately much more draining the more you do it. And it can even become a habit so that you're doing it as you're trying to fall asleep, let's say. We've all had those nights where your mind just keeps jumping from one thing to the next, right? Without you being able to find any real rest. And most often, the issue here is not setting boundaries, not teaching people that it's okay to say no in a considered and yet effective way. And also here, there's a simple formula that I can share with you that makes it overwhelmingly more likely that people will understand. So reach out to me if this is something that affects you. Remember, you need to safeguard your mental space. Nobody else is going to do it for you. The third reason that I see your energy might get depleted is because of feeling anxious at work. If you don't feel safe, you don't feel welcomed, protected, that can be a major drain on your energy reserves. And it's much more common than you might think. A recent survey from Great Britain found that in 2019 and 2020, anxiety along with stress and depression accounted for over 50% of all work-related ill health cases and 55% of working days lost due to work-related ill health. Now, this is something that a lot of people struggle with. And anxiety at work can have so many different causes that it's hard to give a one-size-fits-all recommendation. But one of the things that can cause this is if there is a mismatch between what you're asked to do and where your natural true talents lie. All right. If you constantly feel like you have to work much harder than your peers to keep up, then it may be that you're being asked to run the wrong kind of race for you, right? Just imagine judging a fish by its ability to climb trees. That's not a fair comparison, and it doesn't mean that there is anything wrong with you. You just need to find the right type of race for you, where your natural talents can make you shine. Right? And if anything comes up here for you as I'm talking here, because this is, of course, a deep subject here, just feel free to drop a comment down below. I'm trying to monitor them as best I can here. Sometimes the technology is not quite working, but let's see if we can do that. Yeah, so now this brings us to the fourth reason why you might be losing your energy, and that is that your values might not be respected at work. You probably heard me talk about values before, but when you continuously have to accept that people behave in a way you don't agree with, or that things are being done in a way that doesn't align with your perception of right living, it creates frustration. And that negative emotional state drains your energy. In fact, one of the fundamental destroyers of energy is exactly that, negative emotional states. It's very, very taxing for our systems to be in negative emotional states. Just as conversely, it is very empowering to be in positive emotional states. That's why many times we can do something that we're good at and that we succeed in, and it gives us more energy than we started with, right? Now, to give you an example of what kind of frustration what this could look like, I'll tell you about a client of mine. We'll call her Rachel. And she was feeling exhausted and frustrated from her work as a project manager every single day. And as we started digging into this, it quickly became apparent that the reason why she felt this way was because she had a strong sense of order and responsibility. This was very close to her heart. She wanted to do a good job and wanted to make sure that things were done in a right way, right? Um, and the problem with the place where she was working was that they never gave her enough resources, not enough manpower to do what she felt was an actual good job. So she constantly felt that things were not done properly, not because of any failings on her part, but simply because there was not enough resources for her team to do what they were asked to do. And this was completely different from another type of job that she'd had 5 years ago, where she'd been able to do a good job on smaller and more clearly bounded projects where she'd thrived and she had had so much more energy. She could live according to her values, right? So, if you're feeling that there's a lot of frustration for you in what you do and it's stealing your energy, it is time to do an audit about what the underlying drivers are for you to feel well and feel engaged. Okay? And this way, you can take the necessary steps to bring those drivers more into your life. Hope this makes sense. The fifth and final reason for mental fatigue is boredom at work. This is very common. I think we can all relate. Because if you're constantly asked to handle tasks that don't interest you or don't stimulate you, your body naturally starts to tune out of that activity, and you're just gonna kind of tune out and start thinking about other things. We're hardwired to rebel against things that we don't see the usefulness of. So if you want more energy, then it's time to look at what would actually be exciting for you to do. And the best and most simple way that I know of to get started on this is to start noting down anything and everything that sparks curiosity in you and that starts, to get those juices flowing in your heart. Because as you start writing them down, you'll quickly start to notice that there is an underlying pattern behind what makes you happy. It's important to find that, because that is the key to having you come home from a long workday and maybe be physically tired, but having emotional and mental surplus that you can share with your friends and family, right? So, yeah, as I said before, all of these 5 reasons for losing your energy basically boils down to the essential thing of negative emotional states. That's where all of your energy is going, right? And if you spend 8 to 10 hours a day doing something that is causing you to have negative emotional states, you can try to sleep as much as you want, or you can eat a great diet, you can exercise, you can do all of those things, but it's not gonna help you. Okay. Now, yeah, so this is what I think is something that will help you, to get a hold of what it is that's causing your energy. But tell me in the comments, do you agree with this list of reasons for being exhausted at work? Did I miss anything important? Let me know in the comments and we can discuss. I love that. So doesn't look like there's coming any comments through here. But so I'll just sum up here. One of the main reasons to get to lose your mental fatigue or to feel mentally depleted is not taking mind breaks, actual breaks where your mind gets to shut off. And also being too distracted too often, having too many balls in the air, so to speak. It's a very wonderful thing that employers write in job posting, be ready to have many balls in the air, and it's just really a bad idea. So we as employees need to kind of take back control of that and show that yes, it's okay that I get to focus on this because I will be ready to answer any questions in, let's say, half an hour or tomorrow, or can this wait? Use any of these strategies here. Feeling anxious is also a huge energy sink. Let's do everything we can to make everybody feel welcomed and safe and protected at work. That way, we all get to feel better. Also, being sure that you know what your values are, and being sure that you're in an environment that is aligned with who you are as a human being, what your concept of right living is. And finally, the activities that you do need to be exciting and engaging for you. Otherwise, it's just going to be an energy sink if you're just being bored. Great. So that's all the time I had for now. Thank you so much for taking some time with me. I really do appreciate it. And I hope it was helpful in making things a little bit more clear. Tell me in the comments if there was something that was interesting for you, so I know that what works for you guys. And if you got some value out of it, put a like on it so it reaches more people in the group. And yeah, I look forward to sharing more tips and tricks with you soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now.